You crack. The world outside your shell is a chaotic mess of shattered calcium and struggling limbs. You feel a dim, primordial urge to move, to get away from this place. Consciousness flickers to life in nature's most absurdly oversized prototype. Your official designation is Diplodocus, a name the clever apes gave you, meaning double beam, a tedious anatomical reference to the bones under your tail. You are known to the world simply as Diplodocus, a name as profoundly and interesting as the life you are about to lead. Your story begins here, not with a loving nudge from a parent, but with the gnawing terror of sibling rivalry. The first faces you see are those of your brothers and sisters, each one a tiny, hungry mouth attached to a twitching body. There are 24 of you. There will not be for long. This isn't a nursery. It's a gladiatorial arena with a very short, very brutal preliminary round. The air itself is your first enemy. It's a thick, soupy mixture of volcanic ash and the oppressive humidity of a world-sized greenhouse. The scent of rotting ferns is the only maternal kiss you will ever know. Your mother, a 90-foot-long creature of profound indifference, laid these eggs weeks ago and has already forgotten this patch of dirt even exists. Her parental duties were fulfilled the moment she walked away. Now, it's up to you. The sibling, emboldened by the sheer panic of being born, lunges at your tail. You scurry away, a clumsy, uncoordinated scramble into the undergrowth. This is your first lesson. Trust nothing. Especially not family. The ferns offer a sliver of protection, their giant fronds casting long, dark shadows. You are a few inches long, a morsel. Every rustle in the leaves is a potential death sentence. Every shadow could be a hungry mouth. You are driven by one single, all-consuming thought: hide. Your birth was not a miracle. It was a statistical anomaly, an egg that managed not to get eaten before it hatched. You are now in the juvenile phase, a period of your life that could charitably be described as the long cower. For the next decade, you are on the menu for everything that moves. Your primary adversary is a creature called Allosaurus. Think of it as a bipedal nightmare with a mouth full of knives designed specifically for tearing through creatures like you. It is fast. It is smart, at least compared to you. And it is perpetually hungry. You will also be hunted by the smaller, more insidious ornitholestes. These are the ankle biters of the late Jurassic, pack hunters that see you as a walking buffet. They are the reason you never, ever stop moving. Your survival strategy is pathetic, but effective. You simply exist in a mindless, sprawling herd with what's left of your siblings and cousins. You are living camouflage, hiding in plain sight by being surrounded by dozens of other identical targets. It's the ecological equivalent of a shell game. The predator has to guess which one of you is the unluckiest. Your other strategy is just to get bigger. You shovel plant matter into your mouth with a grim, mechanical efficiency. Your body is a furnace, burning through ferns and cycads to fuel a growth spurt of comical proportions. It is your only real defense, to become too large to be considered a convenient meal. Learning the ropes of being you is a clumsy affair. You have to master the art of using your tail. It is a magnificent piece of biological engineering, 45 feet of whipcord muscle and bone. In theory, it can produce a sonic boom to deter an attacker. In practice, your first attempts are a spectacular failure. You smack it into trees. You trip your herd mates. You once whipped it so hard you stunned yourself for a full minute, standing perfectly still while the world swam dizzily around you. It's a miracle the Allosaurus wasn't watching. Your life is a monotonous cycle of eating, walking, and trying not to die. There is no joy. There is no play. There is only the constant, dull pressure of survival. You see your brethren fall around you. One gets stuck in the mud of a riverbank. Its panicked cries a dinner bell for every scavenger in the territory. Another, a little slow on the uptake, gets cornered by a pack of smaller predators and is gone within an hour. You don't mourn. You don't feel loss. You just feel a dim sense of relief that it wasn't you, and you keep eating. You spend years, decades, in this state. A slow, ponderous journey from appetizer to main course, and finally, to something too big to bother with. And then, one day, it happens. You've reached the peak, congratulations. Life has decided to stop actively trying to kill you every single minute. You are now an adult Diplodocus. You are 90 feet of bone, muscle, and digestive tract. You weigh 15 tons. From your ridiculously small head to the tip of your whip-like tail, you are a walking mountain. The allosaurs that once stalked your every move now see you, pause, and decide to go look for easier prey. This is the top. This is the best your life is ever going to get. Your existence settles into a new kind of monotony, a comfortable, brainless superiority. Your day consists of 3 main activities: eating, walking to find more things to eat, and digesting what you've eaten. Your head, perched on its impossibly long neck, sways through the low-hanging trees, stripping branches bare with peg-like teeth. You don't chew. Chewing is for creatures with more ambition. You simply swallow, letting stomach stones do the grinding for you. You are a biological machine designed for one purpose: converting flora into more you. A false sense of security begins to settle in your tiny brain. The world is no longer a gauntlet of horrors. It's just a salad bar that stretches to the horizon. You feel, in your own dim way, invincible. But nature abhors a vacuum, especially one filled with unearned confidence. Just when you believe you've solved the puzzle of existence, a new problem emerges. And this problem is far more humiliating and pointless than being hunted. The problem is sex. It turns out, the only thing more dangerous than a hungry carnivore is another Diplodocus with a desperate biological imperative. The ironic twist of your adulthood is this: you survive the predators only to have to face the sheer, idiotic brutality of your own kind. The burden of mating arrives. Suddenly, the other lumbering giants around you are not companions in your slow, ponderous parade. They are rivals. You are a male. And this means you must now engage in the most pointless, dangerous, and physically demanding ritual of your entire life. The competition is fierce. Other males, just as large and stupid as you are, vie for the attention of the females. And how do you prove your worth? Not through a colorful display or a charming song. No, you prove it by whipping each other. You stand side by side and lash out with those 45-foot tails. The same tail you clumsily learned to use as a juvenile is now your primary tool for romance. The sound cracks through the forest like lightning, a deafening report that signifies nothing more than 2 overgrown lizards trying to hurt each other for the chance to procreate. These are not playful contests. They are brutal, drawn-out battles. The whips break skin, shatter ribs, and can even snap a neck if a blow lands just right. You will spend weeks engaged in these pointless duels. Weeks of pain and exhaustion. For what? For a few fleeting, awkward moments of copulation with a female who is, at best, tolerant of your presence. After the act is done, you will wander off. You will never see her again. You will certainly never see your offspring. Your genetic contribution is a blind, anonymous donation to a cycle you will play no further part in. You risk death for a reward you are not equipped to understand or appreciate. It is the peak of your existence, and it is a sucky, violent, and utterly meaningless ordeal. This is the grand prize for surviving childhood. The years grind on, each one indistinguishable from the last. The seasons turn. The forests you strip bare slowly grow back, just in time for you to wander through and strip them bare again. Your life, which once felt like a precarious struggle, has now become a long, slow, boring march. The fire of mating competition dims. The energy it takes to whip a rival is no longer worth the effort. You let the younger, more aggressive males have their pointless battles. You have entered the inevitable decline. Old age is not a graceful twilight for you. It is a systematic failure of parts. Your joints, which have carried 15 tons of you across hundreds of miles, begin to ache. Each step sends a dull throb through your body. The cartilage is wearing thin. The bones are tired. You are slower now, much slower. The herd moves on at a pace you struggle to maintain. Your once formidable tail now feels less like a weapon and more like a dead weight you are forced to drag behind you. The whip crack sound is gone, replaced by a listless swish through the dirt. Your status within the herd plummets. You are no longer a dominant male, nor even a respectable middle ranker. You are old news. You are pushed away from the best feeding spots by younger, stronger sauropods who see you not with fear, but with a kind of weary annoyance. You are an obstacle, a slow-moving roadblock in their path to the next patch of ferns. The skills you once had are fading. Your eyesight grows dim. Your hearing, once sharp enough to detect the faintest crackle of a predator in the undergrowth, is now dull. You are becoming vulnerable again. The world, which had receded into a safe, green blur, is slowly coming back into sharp, dangerous focus. And then comes the final confrontation. It is not a dramatic, cinematic battle against an ancient foe. It is a sad, predictable encounter born of your own weakness. A young Allosaurus, brash and full of ambition, spots you at the edge of the herd. It has been watching you for days. It has seen your slow, pained movements. It has noticed how the other Diplodocus give you a wide berth, not out of respect, but out of a desire to not be associated with you. It smells opportunity. Years ago, this same predator would have taken one look at your immense size and moved on. Today, it sees a meal. A big one, yes, but a slow one. An old one. It begins to stalk you. You see the threat, but the old fire, the instinct to present a strong front is gone. You feel only a deep weariness. You try to swing your tail, a pathetic echo of your former power. The movement is sluggish, the impact negligible. It doesn't even make a proper sound. The predator is not deterred. It lunges. The fight is short. It is not a battle of titans. It is a mugging. A quick, brutal, and efficient takedown. You fall, the ground shaking one last time from your impact. Your end comes as you lived. Without ceremony, without dignity, and without anyone particularly noticing. Your last breath is a quiet sigh, lost in the vast, indifferent quiet of the late Jurassic. Your body, a mountain of flesh that took a century to build, now becomes a public resource. Scavengers, from the smallest insects to other dinosaurs, arrive. They pick your massive skeleton clean, leaving nothing but bleached bones under the harsh sun. Over time, the mud of a seasonal floodplain covers your remains. The pressure of sediment builds. Millennia pass. Your bones, slowly, begin to turn to stone. And not far from where you fell, in a forgotten nest buried in warm soil, a tiny eggshell cracks. A small, reptilian head pokes out, blinking in the hostile new world. A new Diplodocus begins its own journey. It scurries into the ferns, narrowly avoiding being eaten by its own brother. The whole pointless, tragicomic story is about to repeat itself, ad nauseam. Why did it suck to be you? Because your entire 100-year existence was a biological errand. A long, drawn-out, and painful process designed for the sole purpose of creating a carbon copy to endure the exact same meaningless ordeal. And you were blessed with a brain just large enough to feel the pain, but too small to ever wonder why. So, that's your life. A century of mindless eating, clumsy fighting, and pointless reproduction, all ending in you becoming a footnote in the fossil record. You'd think that would be the end of the indignity. To just die and be forgotten. But you weren't so lucky. You had the misfortune of leaving behind a very large, very interesting corpse. And 150 million years later, a new kind of primate, a clever, arrogant, and relentlessly curious ape, found it. And that's when your personal, biological tragedy became a public, historical farce. The year is 1877. You are disturbed. Not by a predator or an earthquake, but by the sharp, metallic clink of a pickaxe. For the first time in 150 million years, your quiet, fossilized oblivion is interrupted. The apes have found you. They call themselves paleontologists, which is a fancy word for bone hunters. They chip away at the rock of the American West, the Morrison Formation, with a strange mixture of scientific reverence and gold rush fever. When they first uncover your femur, a bone the size of a man, they don't see you. They don't see the century of struggle it supported. They see a monster. They see a puzzle. They see a ticket to fame. Are you the remains of a leviathan from a forgotten myth? Are you a dragon slain by some ancient hero? Or are you something far more valuable? A new species? Your entire identity, your very existence, is immediately hijacked and put on trial by these fragile, soft-skinned creatures. They define you by your sheer, bewildering size. You are a god in the sense that you inspire awe. You are a monster in that you defy their understanding of the world. But most of all, you are lunch, metaphorically speaking. You are a feast for their ambitions. Your bones become the centerpiece of a new human mythology, the mythology of science. And this divine status as a groundbreaking fossil immediately makes you useful. Not for your wisdom, but for your propaganda value. You become a prize, a weapon, in a bitter and petty war between two of the apes' most prominent bone hunters, Othniel Marsh and Edward Cope. This pathetic feud is known to their kind as the Bone Wars. Your skeleton is not a creature to be carefully studied and understood. It is territory to be conquered. It is a trophy to be mounted on a museum wall, a silent testament to the ego of the man who found it first. They work with a frantic, destructive haste. They dynamite the quarry around your final resting place, shattering delicate vertebrae to get to the bigger, more impressive bones faster. They mislabel your parts. They lose pieces of you in transit, shipping your sacred remains across the country in poorly packed crates like common cargo. This is what your worship looks like. Being valuable enough to be fought over. Being sacred enough to be blown up. The gap between your new divine status and the reality of your treatment is a chasm of cosmic irony. You are a symbol of nature's majesty, handled with the care of a construction crew demolishing a building. And in their rush, they cause collateral damage that will haunt your legacy for a century. They get you wrong. Hilariously, fundamentally wrong. They can't find your head. Your tiny, delicate skull often detached from your massive body after death. But an incomplete monster is an unsatisfying monster. So they improvise. They find a thick, blocky skull from a completely different dinosaur, a Camarasaurus, lying nearby. And they decide it belongs to you. They build their grand reconstruction, their monument to your existence, and they place the wrong head on your shoulders. You, a creature who survived the Jurassic, are now forced to suffer the indignity of being a Frankenstein's monster of their making. You become a villain of scientific inaccuracy, a problem they created and then blamed you for. Your body, your only legacy, is now a testament not to your life, but to their hubris and incompetence. This is the first chapter of your tragic relationship with humanity. What is the cynical takeaway from this era? That being discovered is infinitely worse than being extinct. It meant your eternal rest was desecrated by apes with chisels and ambition. Your bones, once the framework of a living being, were repurposed as ammunition in a war of egos. Being a symbol of a lost world just made you a target for the living one. The 19th century bleeds into the 20th. The era of manic discovery gives way to an age of systematic misery. Your perception changes once more. You are no longer a mysterious monster from the dawn of time. You are a known quantity, an asset, a product. The industrialist ape Andrew Carnegie, a man who made a fortune forging steel, sees in you a different kind of raw material. He sees a tool for diplomacy. He orders his museum to create perfect plaster casts of your entire skeleton. You are to be mass-produced. Your bones, once unique, are now a template for a global franchise. These copies of you, these hollow ghosts of your former self, are shipped around the world. One for London, one for Paris, one for Berlin. You become a diplomatic offering, a gift from the New World's industrial might to the old empires. You are no longer a creature. You are an ambassador of American largesse, a plaster-cast monument to a gilded age. You have been quantified, crated, and commodified. In the great museums of the world, you are reassembled. But the indignity of your wrong head is now compounded by the insult of bad posture. Based on their flawed understanding, the apes decide you must have been a swamp dweller. They picture you living in the water, the buoyancy helping to support your immense weight. So they mount your skeleton accordingly. Your massive tail, that magnificent whip you once used to fight for your life and your right to mate, is made to drag limply on the ground behind you. Your long, elegant neck, which you held high to browse the treetops, is posed in a pathetic, downward slump. You are turned into a cosmic failure, a beast so poorly designed, so big and stupid, that you couldn't even hold your own tail off the floor. You become a poster child for extinction, a cautionary tale for school children about the perils of being too slow and too specialized. Look at the Diplodocus, the teachers say. It got too big for its own good, and then it disappeared. It's a simple, satisfying narrative, and it's completely wrong. Your new job title is no longer monster or scientific prize. It is property. You are an entry in a museum's ledger book. Your image, this new, inaccurate, and frankly depressing image of you, starts to seep into the culture of the apes. You are useful now, not just for diplomacy, but for commerce. Your new job is mascot. The Sinclair Oil Company, a business dedicated to pulling old, dead things out of the ground and burning them, decides you are the perfect corporate symbol. They create a friendly, green, smiling version of you. Dino the Sinclair dinosaur. This cheerful caricature of your former self becomes a beloved icon. You are used to sell gasoline. You, a creature who lived in a world of pristine air, are now the friendly face of the internal combustion engine. The transition is sickeningly complete. From a sovereign creature of the Jurassic to a piece of intellectual property, a registered trademark. The collateral damage of this era is a systematic slaughter of your dignity. The apes invent new technologies. Film, animation, mass-market paperbacks. And you are a star. In their earliest movies, you are a clumsy, lumbering brute, a special effect designed to inspire a cheap thrill. You are shown blundering through jungles, being easily felled by square-jawed heroes, or, in one memorable case, fighting a giant gorilla. Your immense size and power are reduced to a plot device. Your complex life is flattened into a single, unflattering portrait of a slow-witted giant waiting to be superseded. Their technological progress is a one-way assault on your reputation. The real fight for survival, the one you actually won for 100 years, is replaced by a fictional one where you always lose. What is the deeply ironic summary of this age? That your strength was used to build cultural empires that depicted you as weak. Your majestic, 90-foot frame, a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, became famous for a posture so sad it would make an undertaker feel optimistic. You were no longer a creature of nature. You were a caricature, owned and operated by men who sold oil and movie tickets. The world of the apes lurches forward again. The mid-century gives way to the modern era, the age of computers, genetics, and a new kind of human arrogance. You are about to be redefined once more. Welcome to the age of sentimental hypocrisy. Your first impression in this new world is that of a problem to be solved. A new generation of paleontologists, armed with powerful computers and a desire to overturn the work of their predecessors, look at your droopy museum mount with disdain. This is all wrong, they declare. And so, they set about fixing you. You are no longer a monster or a mascot. You are a data point. A set of variables to be plugged into a biomechanical simulation. They scan your bones. They calculate the stress loads on your vertebrae. They debate the fluid dynamics of your blood flow. Was your neck held high like a giraffe? Or was it held low to the ground like a giant, reptilian vacuum cleaner? The arguments are endless. They publish papers. They hold conferences. They attack each other's theories with the same academic savagery that Marsh and Cope attacked each other with pickaxes. You are the battlefield once again. But this time, the war is fought with algorithms and grant proposals. In their films, you are resurrected with terrifying accuracy. Computer-generated imagery brings you to life. They get your skin texture right. They get the swing of your tail right. They even get the posture right, hoisting your neck and tail high in the air, a proud, horizontal beam of biological efficiency. You are rendered in stunning, photorealistic detail. You are a marvel to behold, a creature designed to make audiences gasp and feel a profound sense of wonder. For about 90 seconds. Then the T-Rex shows up and eats the lawyer off the toilet, and everyone forgets about you. You have been recast as a scientific specimen, a CGI case study, and most pathetically, a sad face on a conservation pamphlet. Your image is used to inspire guilt for the current wave of extinctions. We must not let the rhino go the way of the dinosaurs, the pamphlets cry, showing a picture of your magnificent, resurrected form. It's a noble sentiment, completely undermined by the fact that you died 150 million years before the first human ancestor decided to climb down from a tree. You had nothing to do with them, but now your memory is being used to clean up their mess. Your new, and perhaps final, job is to inspire this guilt. Your usefulness has been distilled to its purest form. You are a ghost at their feast, a grand, tragic symbol of the natural world that they are systematically dismantling. You are trotted out in their documentaries, your computer-generated herd sweeping across a computer-generated plain, all set to a soaring orchestral score. The narrator, in a hushed, reverent tone, speaks of your majesty and the lost world you inhabited. It is all designed to make the viewer feel a fleeting, pleasant sadness. A little pang of existential grief for a world they never knew and for creatures they only understand as pixels. You are an object lesson. Your extinction is no longer a story about you. It is a story about them. A story about their capacity for destruction and their subsequent capacity for feeling vaguely bad about it afterwards. This is what they call respect. This is what they call honoring your memory. It is the ultimate act of appropriation. They took your bones, they took your name, and now they have taken your extinction and made it all about them. The sheer, monumental ego of this species is, in its own way, as vast and terrifying as the Jurassic landscape you once roamed. Your final purpose is to be a mirror in which they can see their own complicated feelings. It's a lot of emotional labor for a creature that's been dead for half an epoch. You are studied not with the manic, competitive energy of the Bone Wars, but with a cold, clinical precision. You are a data set, a puzzle to be reverse engineered, a living, breathing symbol of humanity's destructive power, which is a heavy burden for a creature whose most complex thought was probably more ferns. And what does this modern conservation of your legacy actually feel like from your perspective? Imagine being a ghost, forced to watch as strangers endlessly redecorate your house. That is your modern existence. It is a prison of kindness. The museum in Pittsburgh, the very one funded by Carnegie's industrial fortune, takes down your iconic, droopy skeleton. They are going to correct the errors of the past. With much fanfare and media attention, they painstakingly remount you. Your tail is lifted high off the ground. Your neck is raised to a proud, alert posture. They celebrate this as a triumph of scientific progress and a restoration of your dignity. They've finally set you right. But what is this, really? It's the ultimate act of hypocrisy. A century of displaying you as a pathetic failure, and now a self-congratulatory ceremony to fix a mistake they created. You are their living museum exhibit, a project that is never finished. Tourists now walk beneath your correctly posed skeleton, their cameras flashing. They listen to audio guides explaining the new, updated truths about your life. Scientists now believe Diplodocus was an active, dynamic animal. The soothing voice explains, not the slow, swamp-bound creature we once imagined. You are a perpetual work in progress for your destroyer's descendants. They preserve your memory by trapping it in a state of constant revision. Every new theory, every new fossil find, means another adjustment to your public image. You are not allowed to simply be. You must be eternally reinterpreted, poked and prodded by the shifting consensus of human science. This is the collateral damage of their kindness. You are stripped of any finality. You cannot even be extinct in peace. Your legacy is a comfortable prison of their ever-changing understanding. They surround you with care. They bathe your bones in the soft light of museum galleries, and they strip you of any stable identity. You are a placeholder for whatever they think they know this week. And so we arrive at the grand finale. The final, crushing punchline to your 150-million-year-long tragicomedy. What is the ultimate, most profound irony of your modern existence? It is this. After digging you up, getting you wrong, turning you into a corporate mascot, and using you as a poster child for their own failures, they now spend millions of dollars to keep you alive. Not you, of course. You are exceptionally dead. But they keep your ghost alive. They keep it alive in their computers, in their museums, in their films, and in their classrooms. They do this so they can feel better about themselves. Your final, tragic legacy is that you've become a tool for their collective absolution. By understanding you, by honoring you, by correcting their past mistakes about you, they get to feel a sense of intellectual and moral progress. They get to feel like they are good custodians of the planet's history, even as they preside over its most catastrophic era. You are the ultimate symbol of their hypocrisy. They mourn your loss while engineering the loss of countless other species. They celebrate your power while demonstrating a destructive power you could never have conceived of. The final, cynical truth of your long, silent relationship with humanity is that they need you. They need your ghost. They need you to be big and ancient and safely extinct. You are the perfect object for their sentimentality. You ask for nothing. You demand nothing. You simply lie there, a silent collection of bones, and you let them project all of their fears, their ambitions, their guilt, and their fleeting moments of wonder onto you. They took your world from the past, and in return, they gave you a permanent, unpaid job in their present. You are the silent, stone-faced witness to their endless, absurd drama. A drama you never auditioned for, and one from which you can never, ever resign. Your terrible, 100-year life was just the prelude. Your real tragedy began the moment they found your bones. The irony runs deeper than the rocks they dug you from. Consider the sheer energy they expend on you now. Armies of academics build entire careers arguing over the precise angle of your neck. Hollywood studios spend the gross domestic product of a small nation to render a few seconds of you munching on a CGI fern. Children's bedrooms are filled with plastic toys made in your image, colorful and cheap effigies that will outlast the very ecosystems crumbling outside their windows. You have been resurrected as pure information, a ghost in their global machine. Your physical reality, the heat, the hunger, the constant, grinding fear of your actual life, has been completely erased. It has been replaced by a clean, curated, and endlessly debatable fiction. They love you because you are safe. You are a monster behind the glass of a museum display. You are a spectacle confined to a screen. You can't wander through their meticulously planned suburbs or inconvenience their agricultural projects. You are the perfect prehistoric beast. All of the majesty, none of the mess. This is the ultimate domestication. They didn't just tame your memory. They house-trained it. They made you a pet. A very large, very dead pet, but a pet nonetheless. Your story, as they tell it, is a hero's journey in reverse. You started as a magnificent, real creature. You were then demoted to a mysterious monster. Then to an inaccurate scientific model. Then to a goofy corporate logo. And now, finally, you have been promoted to the status of a beloved myth. A myth they control. A myth they edit. And a myth that serves their needs, not your truth. They look at your skeleton, and they feel a sense of profound time, a connection to the deep past. It makes them feel significant, as if by understanding your journey, they can better understand their own. But they miss the simplest, most obvious lesson of your existence. That life is brutal, absurdly difficult, and ends in dirt. They prefer the more flattering narrative. That life is a grand story of progress, culminating, of course, in them. You are a testament to their ability to conquer not just land and sea, but time itself. They reached back across an ocean of 150 million years and plucked you from oblivion, not for your sake, but for theirs. To populate their story with a supporting cast of magnificent failures. And what of your world? The vast, fern-choked plains, the humid, heavy air, the chorus of strange insects, and the distant rumble of other giants. That is all gone. completely and irrevocably gone. It exists now only as an approximation in a computer, a backdrop for your digital ghost to wander through. They have created a prison of kindness for your legacy, and a landfill for your world. Every gallon of gasoline sold using your smiling, cartoon face helped to power the engines that altered the climate. Every plastic toy made in your image is a small, persistent piece of pollution that will haunt their planet for centuries. Your posthumous career has been, in a quiet and indirect way, a collaboration in the very planetary change that makes their world so different from yours. They used your memory to fuel their civilization, and that civilization, in turn, ensured that nothing like you could ever exist again. The hypocrisy is so perfect, so complete, it's almost beautiful. It is a closed loop of irony. You are the beginning and the end, the symbol of a lost world, and a tool used to lose the one they have. So rest now, if you can. Rest in your climate-controlled museum hall, under the soft glow of the track lighting. Your work is done. You have served your purpose. You were born, you struggled, you died, and then you were reborn as a cultural commodity. It's a fate far stranger, and far more insulting, than simply turning to dust. Think about the children who stare up at your skeleton. Their faces are filled with a pure, uncomplicated awe. They see a giant, a real-life monster, a dragon. They are, in a way, closer to the truth than the scientists who endlessly debate your metabolism. The children understand your essence without needing to understand your mechanics. You are, to them, a symbol of the impossible made real. And what happens to this pure awe? It gets educated out of them. They learn your name. They learn how much you weighed. They learn the prevailing theories about your extinction. The sublime mystery is slowly replaced by a set of manageable, testable facts. The dragon is dissected and becomes a diagram in a textbook. This is the human process. They cannot abide a mystery. They must conquer it with definitions. They must shrink the vastness of your existence into a few neat paragraphs. Your greatest tragedy is not that you went extinct. It's that you were discovered. Discovery meant you could no longer be a silent, dignified fossil. You had to become a topic, a subject, a field of study. You were forced to trade the quiet peace of non-existence for the noisy, relentless glare of human curiosity. They will never be done with you. As their science evolves, so will you. In 50 years, perhaps they will decide your neck was held in a completely different way. Your skeleton will be dismantled and re-remounted. A new generation of documentary filmmakers will create new, even more photorealistic versions of you, correcting the laughable errors of the previous generation. Your ghost will be forced to keep up with their trends. You will be a fashion that changes with the seasons of their academic consensus. This is your eternal fate. To be a reflection, not of what you were, but of who they are. In the 19th century, you were a monster, reflecting their fear of the unknown frontier. In the 20th century, you were a clumsy failure, reflecting their industrial confidence and belief in progress. In the 21st century, you are a tragic victim, a symbol of lost grace, reflecting their anxieties about the environmental consequences of that same progress. You are their mirror, and they are endlessly fascinated by their own reflection. They have even analyzed your brain, or rather, the empty space it occupied in your tiny skull. They created a digital model, an endocast. They concluded that your brain was, to be generous, rudimentary. The parts for smell were large, but the parts for thinking were exceptionally small. They announced this with a kind of triumphant pity. Look how simple it was, they say. No wonder it went extinct. They say this while sitting in front of computer screens, connected to a global network of information. Yet they still manage to elect leaders who deny basic science. The irony of them judging your intelligence is so dense it threatens to form a singularity. You, with your walnut-sized brain, managed to survive for 100 years in one of the most dangerous environments this planet has ever produced. They, with their magnificent, 3-pound brains, are struggling to survive the environment they created for themselves. Perhaps a small brain, focused only on the essentials of eating, and not being eaten, is a more robust design after all. It is a thought too humble for them to ever seriously consider. They prefer to see you as a stepping stone on the evolutionary path to their own glorious, oversized craniums. Your simplicity is necessary for their story of superiority. And so you will remain, forever fossilized, forever reinterpreted, forever a silent player in their ongoing, and increasingly frantic, human drama. A drama that, from the serene vantage point of 150 million years of peaceful non-existence, must look very, very silly indeed. Let's consider your diet one last time. You were an herbivore. You ate plants. You spent the vast majority of your waking hours locating and consuming vegetation. It was a full-time job with no holidays. Now consider the apes. They have dedicated entire television networks to watching other apes cook food. They have invented thousands of kitchen gadgets to simplify food preparation, and yet they complain they have no time to cook. They have engineered plants to be bigger, more resilient, and easier to grow, and they drench them in poisons to keep the insects away. You ate from the world as it was. They fight a constant, desperate war against nature to force it to produce the food they want. They then process this food, package it in plastic, and transport it thousands of miles to be consumed in sterile, air-conditioned rooms. The sheer, baffling complexity of their relationship with food would be incomprehensible to you. Your entire dietary philosophy was, if it's green and doesn't move, eat it. Theirs is a labyrinth of anxieties about calories and gluten and organic certifications and ethical sourcing. They have made the simple act of eating, the one thing you did with mindless efficiency, into a source of profound cultural and psychological stress. It is perhaps the most compelling evidence of their flawed design. And what of your legacy in their language? Dinosaur has become a pejorative term. They use it to describe anything outdated, inefficient, or doomed to fail. That company is a dinosaur, they'll say. It's too big and slow to adapt. They took your name and turned it into an insult, a synonym for obsolescence. You, a member of a group that dominated this planet for more than 150 million years, a reign of success that makes the entirety of human history look like a brief, noisy weekend, are now the poster child for failure. This is not just irony. It is a profound, cosmic injustice. It's like a bacterium calling a whale inefficient. The sheer, unmitigated gall is breathtaking. They do this because their own existence is so precarious. Their civilizations rise and fall in the blink of a geological eye. Their technologies become obsolete in a decade. Their entire culture is built on a frantic, terrified scramble towards the new. So they must look back at you, the epitome of stability and long-term success, and brand you a failure. It's a psychological defense mechanism. By convincing themselves that you were doomed, they can feel a little more secure about their own far from certain future. Every time they call something a dinosaur, they are really just whispering to themselves, at least we're not that. But you are. They just don't know it yet. Their bipedal stance, their tool use, their social structures, all are just adaptations for a specific environment. And environments change. You knew that. You lived through countless changes, until the one big one you couldn't handle. They are currently engineering the one big one they won't be able to handle, and they're doing it with a cheerful, industrious determination. And when it's all over for them, when their brief, spectacular flame flickers out, the planet will remain. The rocks will remain. And perhaps, in a few 100 million years, a new curious species will arise. And perhaps they will find the fossilized remains of a human skeleton. And they will mount it in a museum. And they will look at its comically large skull and its pathetically fragile limbs, and they will call it a dinosaur. A strange, short-lived creature that was, for a fleeting moment, too clever for its own good. That would be a fitting final punchline. A legacy of being misunderstood, right to the very end.